They are the lucky ones, the inconspicuous people, the everyday sort." "What's luck?" Deb vaguely moralised. "I suppose we make our luck. It doesn't depend on our faces, but on ourselves." "Ah, no." Mrs Goldsworthy received the well worn platitude with a laugh. "We don't make anything, we are made. It is just a dance of marionettes, Debbie. Poor puppets of flesh and blood, treated as if they were just wood and nails and glue. Who set us up to make a game of us like this? Who does pull the strings, Debbie? It is a mystery to me." Then Deb waited for what was coming next. "Possibly it will be cleared up some day," she murmured, putting out her strong, beautiful hand to touch her sister's knee. "Whether it is a fairy tale or not, one must cherish the hope." "Not I," Mary cut in swiftly. That same Mary who was once conspicuous in her family for pious orthodoxy. "No more experiments in human existence for me. A few years of peace and cleanness. As I now am, I hope for that, and for nothing more. I don't want anything more. I'd rather not. To be left alone for the rest of the time, and then to be done with it. That sums up all the hope I have or need." "Ah, my dear!" "No, Debbie, don't look at me with those eyes. Don't pity me in that tone of voice. I am only a heathen against my will, not so broken hearted as not to care what happens to me, which I believe is what you think. I am not even sorry. I wish I was, but I can't be. In fact, I am so happy, really, that I am going about in a sort of dream, trying to realise it." "Happy?" "Perhaps happy is not the word. I should say unmiserable. I am more unmiserable than I have ever been, I think, since I was born." Deb's swift intelligence grasped the truth. "Ah, then she was not so insensate as we thought, but made allowance for what she diagnosed as a morbid condition of mental health." "Are you happier than you were at Redford, young, and loved, and with everything nice about you?" "Yes, because then, although, of course, I did have everything, I had no idea of the value of what I had. You can't be really happy unless you know that you are happy. I did not know it then, but now I do." Deb's glance flashed round the poor room, and out of the window into the squalid street. She thought of Bob, who almost openly despised the mother who adored him. She calculated the loneliness, the poverty, the, to her, ugliness of the existence which Mary's, as I am, was intended to describe, and she groaned aloud. "Oh, my dear, was it really so awful as that, that the mere relief from it can mean so much to you?" "I am not going to complain," said Mary. "It was not awful by anybody's fault, certainly not by his. He did his best. He was really good to me. It could not have happened at all, except through his being good to me, doing what he did that night. I am not in the least bitter against him. He was as he was made, just as I am. It had to be, I suppose. The maker of the puppets didn't care whether we belonged or not. The hand that pulled the strings and tangled them jerked us into the mire together anyhow." "Oh, don't," pleaded Deb. "Don't blaspheme like that. What is religion for if not to keep us from making blunders, and to help us to bear it when they are made, and to trust where we cannot see?" Deb was unused to preaching, and broke down, but her eyes were sermons more impressive than any of the thousands that Mary had heard. "Some day," said Mary, "when I get into a place where I cannot hear religion spoken of, nor see it practised, I may learn the value of it. I hope so. I have a chance of it now. The way is clear. I am through the wood at last." Deb drew her filmy handkerchief across her eyes. "Yes, I know." Mary smiled at her sister's grief. "But it is only for this once, Debbie dear. I did want to let you know to have the delight of not being a liar and shuffler for once. I shall not say such things again. I am not going to shock anybody else, for Bob's sake. Bob, of course, must be considered, after all. It was his father. None of us, even the freest, can be a great agent altogether." "I understand that. I shall hold my tongue. The blessed thing is that that will be sufficient. A negative attitude, with the mouth shut. One is not driven any longer to positive deceit, without even being able to say that you can't help it. Oh, Debbie, you have been a free woman. Why didn't you keep so? But with all your freedom, and all your money, you don't know the meaning of such luxury as I live in now." Deb gazed at her sister's rapt face, glowing in the firelight, and wondered if the brain behind it could be altogether sane. "To call that happiness!" she ejaculated, with sad irony and scorn. "If you must fix a name to it, yes." The widow considered thoughtfully. "After all, unmiserable does not go far enough. I am happy." For Debbie, turning to look into the dark, troubled eyes, "I'm clean now. I never thought to be again. To know anything so exquisitely sweet, either in earth or heaven. I'm clean, body and soul, day and night, inside and outside, at last." "Oh, poor girl!" Deb moaned, with tears, when she realised what this meant. "Rich," corrected Mary. "Rich, dear, with just a roof and a crust of bread." "Well," said Debbie presently, "what about the roof and crust of bread? Since we are telling each other everything, tell me what your resources are. Don't say it is not my business. I know it isn't. But I shall be wretched if you don't let me make it mine a little. How much have you?" "I don't know. I don't care. I haven't given money a thought. It doesn't matter." "But it does matter. You can't even keep clean without a bathtub and a bit of soap. But what am I thinking of? Of course, you will settle all that with Bob." The little word of 3 letters brought Mrs Goldsworthy down from her clouds at once. "Oh, no!" she cried quickly, almost fearfully. "On no account would I interfere with his arrangements, his career. He would do everything that was right and dutiful, I am sure. But I would sooner starve than take charity from my own child. But there's no need to take it from anybody. I have all I want." "How much?" "I couldn't tell you to a pound or two, but enough for my small wants." "They do seem small, indeed. Where are you going to live? Won't you come to me, Molly? Redford is big enough, and it's morally yours as much as mine. You should have your own rooms, all the privacy you like." "No, darling, thank you all the same. I have made my plans. I am going to have a little cottage somewhere in the country, where there is no dust or smoke, or people, where I can walk on clean earth and grass, and smell only trees and rain and the growing things." "Alone?" "Oh, yes, of course. I shall see you sometimes, and my boy. But for a home, all the home I can want or wish for now, that is my dream." "I don't think," said Deb, "that I ever heard human ambition and happiness expressed in such terms before." It was the final result of Mary's experiment in the business of a woman's life. Deb drove back to her hotel, thoughtful and sad and tired. When Rosalie had left her for the night, she wrote to Claude by way of comforting herself. She told him what she had been doing, described her interviews